Alright, let's go, because you know what I came in to do.
I don't get paid for overtime. I'm here to fight.
So I caught the press conference a little late. I was watching the boxer Double Extreme. And then the signal went out. No video available. Then I went on Sky Sports. Same message. The penny then dropped that they took the stream down because of some innocuous comments from Liam Smith about EUBANK's sexuality. And I'm wondering if I should go conspiracy theory on this. Is it staged to bring more attention to the event? Didn't seem that traumatic what he said. Who found that offensive from that demographic? Shutting the stream down and apologizing like they did just brought more attention to it. Yeah, I think they tried to ham it up a little. That's a possibility. You know, they shut down the Sky stream, they shut down the Boxer stream, but the Wasserman stream was still up. Why didn't they request for Cali to take his stream down? Maybe it's down now. They wanted people to see it. But by taking the Sky and Boxer stream down, they're trying to bring attention to this awful thing that happened. What really wasn't that awful. I mean, for fuck's sake, Derek Chisora was throwing tables across the joint the other year. That stream didn't go down.
Well, we spoke about it beforehand, and we did have an inkling that would get spicy, but before we get stuck into it, I think we should apologise. We do want to apologise for any of the language that might have offended you, and any of the homophobic comments, the back and forth between the two. It just went way below the belt. It wasn't necessarily, it just didn't need that today.
If I'm wrong, well, let's run with what we got on the table. If Liam Smith was trying to get a rise out of Chris EUBANK, it would be because he needs to throw EUBANK off from whatever his game plan is intended. I don't believe Liam Smith can do much with EUBANK unless EUBANK fights his fight, gets caught by the head, cut, maybe Liam outworks him in the inside, because he can't fight inside, so I can't write it off. If Junior was genuinely riled up and he wants some retribution, it could make for a more exciting fight, but I don't believe it will work in Liam's favour. I don't. A lot of people are actually picking Liam to win. And I'm wondering, are they picking him because they don't like EUBANK, or they just think EUBANK isn't all that? And I'm not saying EUBANK is all that. I'm not saying he's elite. But he's better than Anthony Fowler. And Anthony Fowler was punching holes through Liam Smith. Had him cut, had him hurt. Liam was looking at the referee at certain stages. And it wasn't until Anthony got cut and lost concentration that Liam got back in the fight and turned it around. I don't think he gets away with that performance against EUBANK. You know, George Groves, he beat EUBANK. Liam certainly doesn't have the jab that George Groves had. And it wasn't even a jab that turned the EUBANK-Groves fight around. It was a head clash. It was clearly a head clash. And then Groves built on it, and EUBANK had him under pressure in the final round when George's shoulder went out. But EUBANK lost the fight. He lost on points. Tough fight, though. Liam, he's got a sneaky little jab from that high guard, tucks his chin in very well. But Chris will be able to land at will as he likes. The whole iron chin EUBANK thing, yeah, he's got a good chin. He's never been decked cleanly. But I don't like weighing up potential winning strategies on the chin necessarily. Because you could go 50 fights without getting decked, and then one day, cold gets cracked. Fowler's chin let him down, and he lost concentration. EUBANK's chin so far has held up. So if Liam is going to come from behind after taking a beating and try and turn it around on one punch, Chris has made a sterner stuff than that. Now, maybe Chris could get the chin cold cracked on Saturday. It could happen, but from what we've seen, it's not something Liam can rely on as a tangible way for him to win. Apparently, Liam fucked up Chris with body shots in sparring. Chris is denying it. So if he can exploit that, that could be a way in for Liam, if it's true. Although, you know, I don't know what relevance that sparring session will have on the fight. We'll see. It was a while ago. I've heard a lot of people say that Liam is a technically better boxer than Chris. Explain that to me, because the guy who was catching punch after punch against Fowler doesn't look technically better than Chris, to me. There was one pundit, I can't remember who it was, a TV pundit who said, Liam will let you hit you so you can lure you in, and this, and I just said, wow. Reaching. He ain't letting no one hit him. His defense is getting penetrated. It's not voluntary. I've seen him sloppy in several fights. I remember the first time watching Liam Smith, and that was against Eric Ochieng, who I used to interview. Liam got the nod for the British title, but it looked close to me. I remember it being a close fight. You watch him against Liam Williams, who Chris made look like a plodder. The first fight. Second fight, he fought better. But the first fight, Liam was outboxing him easy. Easy. The head clash, the end of the fight, was it deliberate or an accident? He has a high guard, tucks his chin in well, and he can hold his own inside against competition that isn't Canelo or Munguia. But he is tough, and I think he can hang in there and give us some good entertainment for while it lasts. But, you know, my pick hasn't changed. EUBANK on points, and if he's inspired, late stoppage. Jack Massey versus Joseph Parker. They brought Massey in for Parker to knock out, get a spectacular knockout. They lost momentum very quickly after signing Parker. He lost to Joe Joyce on a BT card. But, you know, Parker is a former world champion. But let's face it, you know, despite that IBO cruiserweight title that Massey has had, he hasn't proven to be elite British level. You know, he lost to Riakporhe, he was on the canvas in the 10th. He went the distance, though. There's a picture of him during a sparring session. He doesn't look that much smaller than Joe. But obviously Ben Shalom and them at Sky will be very disappointed if Parker cannot stop Massey. Massey apparently took the fight with the incentives that he'll be able to get fights with the likes of Riakporhe, who's beat him already perhaps, or maybe Chris Billiam-Smith and Lawal. You know, unless he beats up Joseph Parker, I don't think he'd be considered to fight a Coley. Sanctioning bodies just making fights that are not going to be made. Is Andy Ruiz going to fight HRGOVIC for the interim IBF title? Could be a situation all over again, like he had with his eliminator, where a lot of potential opponents priced themselves out. And yeah, that's right. Andy was one of them they offered the eliminator, and he turned that down. So why is he going to take the fight now? The Wilder fight is more lucrative for Andy, surely. Did Otto Wallin turn down the eliminator? I'm not sure. But look, if he didn't, he's looking for a fight. Match HRGOVIC with someone who's likely to take the fight, rather than people who've turned down HRGOVIC already. So what's happening with the Wilder fight? Did they hear something that the Wilder-Ruiz fight isn't happening while they put Andy's name forward? Come on, man.
The amount of straps that are on the line, we've got the British title, the Commonwealth, the IBF European, the WBC International. Are you going to be left with anything in the bank after you've paid all them sanctioning fees?
Well, I don't know what the sanctioning fees are yet, but let's see how it goes, innit, you know?
I mean, this is modern day boxing, yeah? Now, back in the day, they didn't have to be throwing belts at the fight to sell it. But now, you know, they have to sell the fight. We get it. The British and Commonwealth titles would have been sufficient for Chris KONGO versus Echo ESSUMUN as an undercard fight. It doesn't need 4 belts on it. The main event doesn't have 4 belts attached to it. You know, Chris KONGO should go to Ben Shalom, and Echo should go to Frank Warren and say, yo, if you want the extra 2 titles on there, will you pay the sanctioning fees for them? Or do they need to be on there? Eddie Hearn's put it out there. April the 1st should be the date for AJ's return to the ring. Opponent announced next week. Dempsey McKean and Jermaine Franklin are the 2 front runners they've been talking about. Well, it looks like Derek James has been appointed as AJ's new trainer, and that should be officially announced next week as well. Or maybe not. He didn't announce Robert Garcia or Angel Hernandez when they were invited to camp. It's got me thinking though. AJ started with Tony Sims, then it was Rob McCracken as a pro. Obviously he worked with Rob as an amateur. Now he's ended up with Derek James, an American. Tyson Fury started out with his Uncle Huey, then his Uncle Peter, and now he's with an American, Sugar Hill. Dillian White, he started with Chris Oko, then Jimmy Tibbs, Xavier Miller came in, all Brits, and now he's with Buddy McGirt, an American. Joe Joyce has had a few trainers. I know Adam Booth was there very briefly. Did they even have a fight together? Abel Sanchez, Mexican-American, and now he's with Salas, Cuban. And I'm going to imagine that Joyce's first trainer was British. What is it? And I'm focusing on heavyweight. I'm not focusing on the other weight classes. What is it the American coaches have done in recent years that our boxers are running to American coaches? America are not producing in the Olympics. Where's the American coaches producing in the Olympics? What's their entitlement and why are they so desired by these boxers? And I think the fans have a huge influence on this as well. Yeah, you need to go to an American, you need to go to an American. It's not like there's an Eddie Futch or an Emmanuel Stewart over there. So our top 4 heavyweights are trained by 3 Americans and 1 Cuban. But they all started out with British coaches. Alexander Usyk seems to be going reverse from the British heavyweights. He started with an American coach as a pro, Mr. Bashir, but a fight or so before he challenged Glowacki for the WBO cruiserweight title, he went with Sergei Lapine, and he's worked with Lomachenko's dad as well. Is it a case of being impressionable and not having faith in your own system? Or are they just better? And if they are better, based on what? Wilder works with Malik Scott. He's still unproven. Dillian worked with Jonathan Banks for a little while. And look, don't bring up Klitschko and Lennox Lewis. I think Vlad used to be with Fritz, who used to train his brother as well. And then he went to Emmanuel, and we saw the improvements. Lennox, he was never with a British coach. He was with Pepe Correa, and then he went to Emmanuel Stewart. Pepe Correa used to work with Sugar Ray Leonard, right? But in the McCall fight, after the first round, Lennox got back to the corner. This Pepe Correa told Lennox to go out and knock this bum out. This is Mike Tyson's chief sparring partner for years. He's got the best chin in the heavyweight division. He's never been down. He's as tough as nails. And Lennox got nailed, and they got rid of him. These guys are not Emmanuel Stewart. They're not Emmanuel Stewart. Frank Bruno, he was with Terry Lawless, and he won the title with George Francis, Brits. Yeah, Vladimir, he left Fritz and went to Manny. Vitaly stayed with Fritz until he passed away. He never went with no American. Vlad was searching for something new because he kept getting knocked out. Vitaly weren't getting knocked out. Only Lennox and Chris Bird beat him. So I was just listening to an interview with Boxing King Media, and Andrew Tabiti is relocated to the United Kingdom. He's signing with Nova Management, UK-based management company. Chris EUBANK is with them, and I think Chris is going to help Andrew out in his transition. Obviously, Nova told Chris to reach out to Andrew, and Chris told him, why don't you come over here and start building your career? And Andrew was saying, well, I ain't got a support system. And he says, well, you've got me and this guy who I believe works for Nova Sport. So that could be a good move for him because his career has dried up over there. They don't really have much of a presence in the cruiserweight division in America. So this could be a good move. TMT haven't really done anything with him. So recently, Napa have signed Chris EUBANK Jr., Andrew Tabiti, Kevin Newman, Rene Tellez Giron, Mauro Silva, based in the UK, from Manchester. And he's basically going to be looking for a signature. Where's he going to end up? Will he end up on DAZN? Will Frank Warren sign him? Ben Shalom? Wasserman? He has options out here. Now, I'm not saying, all American boxers should do this, because in most of the weight classes, let's say going down to where roughly Stephen Fulton is, they can accommodate their fighters with opponents. But in the cruiserweight division, there's nothing there for Andrew Tabiti. And after he lost to the Cuban, his stock obviously dropped a little. His last fight was on DAZN in Saudi when AJ lost to USYK. He's a sparring partner of AJ, so I'm assuming AJ put him on the card. He looked pretty good against James Wilson. Looked pretty good. And he does have some skills. A lot of skills, actually. For my money, Ben Shalom has got all the cruisers right now. That might be where he needs to go if he's going to get fights. Good fights. Canelo RYDER negotiations are ongoing. Eddie has revealed UK, Middle East and Mexico possibilities. Yeah, look, any of them territories, it works well. In America, I don't see it working well. Lou DiBella, the hater, tried to say another shit fight. This guy's charging $64 to watch Jean Pascal in some eliminator against some no-name, saying this is a shit fight. Lou better make sure there's VADA testing. He better make sure. Eddie also stuck his nose in where I guess it doesn't belong, but he makes some valid points about the issues that could stop Fury Usyk happening. Eddie said ignore the recent comments about the fight taking place at Wembley. Both teams will be attempting to generate a lucrative site fee from the Middle East. And he's hit the nail on the head. All of that, Bob Arum, we're going to hold it at Wembley, is bravado talk to say, we don't care if we don't get the site fee. Now, this could be coming back to haunt Bob, that they walked away from that £150 million site fee that Eddie negotiated in 2021. Maybe the Saudis will come around, but they're going to make them squirm. They're going to make Bob and Frank squirm a little, I think. You're going to have to work for this one. And then obviously Eddie went to Fury and Bob's insistence that Usyk doesn't get 50-50, presumably if the fight is at Wembley. Well, that would be an absolute disaster if it falls through because they're too greedy. And Eddie's right. Now, Eddie Hearn has said if Naya Inoue dethrones unified champion Stephen Fulton, he'll agree to make a fight between Inoue and Marjudan Akhmadaliev for undisputed at 122 Super Bantam. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, what if Fulton wins? Why isn't Eddie saying he'll make Akhmadaliev versus Fulton? Because he's had a lot of issues trying to get the PBC guys in the ring for fights. That's why. So they're saying a Fulton Inoue fight could be streamed on ESPN Plus, the app, rather than being sold on pay-per-view like most of the compelling fights that are taking place in March and April. Now, it's a good solution for Fulton and Inoue, them being super bantamweights, because they're not demanding the type of money that Spence and Crawford are. And it looks like Fulton's prepared to go to Japan. That's where the bag is. And, it's a great look. It's a great look, man. It's a great look. If Fulton upsets the odds, I'm hoping that Eddie can make Fulton versus Akhmadaliev. I don't think it should be that hard, because I don't think the PBC are prioritizing Fulton, a lower weight guy, like they are Wilder. They didn't want Wilder to fight on DAZN. And likewise, if Eddie has to make the sacrifice and let Akhmadaliev go over to the PBC, let's hope Eddie is open to that. And we can get that fight, get undisputed at 122. I mean, it's a travesty for the likes of Errol Spence and Terence Crawford that Stephen Fulton from Philly is getting career-defining fights that mean something. And Spence and Crawford are still figuring it out. Eddie Hearn believes that Edgar Berlanga could be a potentially huge matchup against Canelo. Could be right, but there's a lot that has to happen before that's even a possibility. Like, he needs to beat somebody credible, and his form needs to improve drastically before that could be considered a fight in the works, in my opinion. Now, they're asking if Eddie's going to sign Edgar. Now, he's mutually split with Top Rank. Now, he's very popular in New York at 168, Puerto Rican descent, hanging around Fat Joe, cocky individual, but hasn't looked impressive of late. So they're saying here that Keith Connolly, who handles a lot of Berlanga's affairs, were at odds with executives at Top Rank on planning his next steps. Will he end up at DAZN? Will he end up at the PBC? I believe DAZN would be a more likely outcome, considering that Keith Connolly has worked with Danny Jacobs and Eddie already. Connolly will probably go where the money is. You know what I mean? That's what he'll probably do. In Berlanga's last fight against Alexis Angulo, he bit his opponent in the shoulder and didn't look very impressive. He was fined $10,000. And look, let's keep it real. All this mutual split talk with Top Rank is nonsense. If Top Rank really wanted this guy, they would have kept him. They would have pulled out all the stops to accommodate him, but they didn't. And likewise, Eddie has to watch out that he doesn't buy a dud. A fighter who can sell a few tickets, but can't scrap a lick.
Can't scrap a lick, so I know you got your gadget.
So, Golden Boy Jaime Munguia came with this random Dimitri Bivol call out. Munguia says it's not crazy. No, it's not crazy. It's bat shit crazy. It's just as crazy as Jamal calling out Bivol, running up on Bivol, asking him for a catchweight fight at 168. But yet he wouldn't fight David Benavidez at 168. He tried to drag him down to 160 in a fight that was easy to make because you're both on the same promotional banner. How about you guys fight each other at the weight limit you're currently ranked and where Jamal holds a strap? How about you give us that? You haven't even fought anyone relevant at 160, neither of you. Now you're calling out the light heavyweight champion. You're not even caught. Really, boxing? Really?
Diego Pacheco.
Yes, Diego Pacheco. 4 knockouts last year. He's now 17-0, 14 knockouts. He will take on Jack Cullen on March the 11th at the MS Bank Arena, Liverpool, UK. Callum Smith will be headlining with an opponent not yet decided. Should be someone in the top 15, ticking over, as he's guaranteed the winner of Beterbiev versus Yard. It's a good move for Diego, an American-Mexican, I believe. Fought in Mexico last year, he fought in Mexico 2021. Most of his fights have been in America, and now he wants to stamp his passport in the UK. It's going to be a bit of an odd pairing, him against Jack Cullen. Jack Cullen is 6'3", Pacheco is 6'4". Pacheco's style should transfer over to the Liverpool crowd pretty well. And, you know, Jack is brave, but he's been knocked out 3 times. 21 wins, 9 knockouts, 3 losses, 1 draw. He's not being brought in here to win. He's being brought in here as the opponent. Let's keep it real. Diego, 21 years of age, and I like the ambition, willing to pick up his passport and develop his brand in another country, not just stay in his comfort zone. And he's only 21. That shows a lot of maturity.